In this series of video I'm going to show you how we made our fully synthetic rigging using Dynema on our 40-foot sailing trimaran. In the first part we're going to show you how we made our synthetic dead eyes. In the second part we are going to take them to the test to find out more about their braking load. And in the third part we're going to show how we made the stays and how we actually set them up. Okay, so we showed how to do the dead eyes and now it's about installing the stays itself on the boat. We already took the stay off. This is the side one to the top. Okay, so this is the setup to measure how long we're going to make the stay. That's the 12mm Dynema and that's the original 8mm stainless. I attached both, like this is the simulation for the chain plates. That's the new dead eye, the old turnbuckle, and in between here I planned 60 centimeters for the lashings to be. It's probably going to end up shorter because there still is a bit of stretch in the system, so I would be happy if it ends up being 50.
Why did you take 60 centimeters?
It's a bit random, to be honest. It's just a bit more than 50. 50 would be my ideal number to have the lashings. It's not too wide and not too short, so we have a bit of room to play with. And that's also the great advantage of this system. We don't have to be super accurate with this. If it ends up being 5 centimeters too long, it doesn't matter much. We just have to do the lashings longer. The most important thing is that our stay won't be too long. Like imagine we have to stay somewhere here, there wouldn't be any chance to tighten it. So maybe this, keep in mind, rather not plan it to make only 10 centimeters, but be generous with 50. And yeah, so we laid it out and I can actually now stretch it. Maybe what I did here is I already put the thimble in place with the amount of rope that I want to bury. You see it's quite long, it's 1 meter and 30 centimeters that I want to bury. I could have already made this splice, but I don't have to. So I just marked it there how it would be, and we follow up. And now the actual measurement happens. So I want both lines or stays to be super tight, and this is the eye that is going to be connected with the mast, or this one was connected with the mast and this one going to be. So I place the thimble that this is in one line, that the bolt that would secure it is at the same position. Just double check it's tight and I can make my marks. This one will be point B in the splice concept and this one point A. And be careful not to cut here, but measure the 130 now from here. That will give us the tail that will go into it.
Why you take 130 for the tail?
Good question. So
thank you, teacher.
I see there is someone paying attention. Usually you would take up 72 times the diameter of the rope, which would be 12 by 72, 90, something around 90 centimeters. Oh. And I just make it extra secure by adding even more to it. And also we will do the tapering over a longer distance than what you would do usually in a splice like this. Line is cut. Maybe you saw I used tape to make it a bit easier so the end wouldn't be fussing all around. And what I'm going to do now is copy paste. So I'm just measuring the rope we just did and make it exactly the same thing on the other side. So that for sure will be symmetrical, even though they may be a bit too long, too short, but this way it will look good.
So for the stay on the other side of the boat?
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so we have our cut stay. We are in the shadow, finally. We're in Panama, it's hot. And now the actual splicing is going to happen. I still have the 2 marks we did beforehand, where we're going to place the thimble. And before I'm starting this actual splice, I want to work with this protection sleeve. we decided to cover the entire rigging in these sleeves, not only because of abrasion, like when ropes pass by and so on, that could chafe, but also because of UV. Inside this protection, these stays are gonna last much longer than 10 years. So that's the whole idea. I'm making a bit of a different way than usual. Like I'm not covering the entire stay and then work on it, because it's just much harder to splice with this on. So I'm actually gonna cheat a little bit. What I'm gonna do is, for the thimble, I'm using a super small piece and just put it in here, do the splice, and for the rest of the stay I'm gonna use the entire length of it. Something important to consider when buying this. So this sleeve is from Liros as well, and they only have certain diameters that they support. So this, for example, is for ropes from 8 to 12 millimeters. It worked great on the 10 millimeter rope, even with the splice I could, and the whole bury in it, we could just press it over it. But with the 12 millimeter rope, it is impossible after the splicing to really put it entirely down. So if you have the chance, buy something that, if you have, for example, this cover would be nice for a 10 millimeter or maybe even 9 or 8. But if it's already the max 12 millimeter, I would be really careful, because you most likely won't bring it over the entire thing. What we did is that we, for the end, like immediately after the eye splice, the rope will be the thickest, right? So here we will have both ropes in it, and here we're just gonna do whipping of normal rope around it to protect it. But anyway, so we're gonna first step cut the length. This is my mark, and I'm just making it a tiny bit longer so we have a bit of room to play with. So I'm gonna make the cut here, and I can make these pieces already 4 times because we're gonna use it for 4 thimble endings. So now the actual splicing is going to start. I'm just putting this small little cover on my feet, and in the back I put the stay, a bit of tape, since this rope is a bit too fat for this needle. And I'm just going to position it between the 2 marks I made, A or B, they're usually called in all these videos. And you see now it's even a bit too short, but it can expand a lot, so then it will fit. I have my rope already in the feet. I can just leave it in there, and I'm going to make the splice, use the 2nd mark, therefore find a good path in the middle without poking. Yes, so I should have 6 strands on this side and 6 on this. Yes. Through it, get rid of all the twist. Okay, and here, then from the middle point on, I can put this sleeve a bit down so it fits over the thimble. So now we're going to make a Mobius bramble splice, which means that we have to now bury this end into the short end, so we have an actual lock. You can either invert this whole splice, or you can invert the short end and then put the loop through it, or pass this entire rope through it. If you have a short stay, I would usually pass the stay through it. Since this stay is so long, I'm not going to do this, but I rather decide to invert this end. So therefore I always have to think how to put it through. If this is the actual stay, it goes up like this, around, and I will have to put the short end, the working end, into itself somewhere around here to make the inversion. and I want to have it really close to here. That's why I'm getting rid of the thimble. I'm gonna memorize this spot and then put my feet through here, coming from the top side, coming out. Nice. So now I only have to pull this short end through. This will help the splice will end up. So yeah, that works. And now I'm just gonna pull it completely through and make the inversion. So now I have this nasty looking thing, and there is a natural hole in the middle, this one here. And now to extend it, because this hole has to, the whole loop now has to fit through this hole. So I will have to make this hole as big as somehow possible, and therefore it is nice to use 2 feet. Go through with the other one, then you can really work on it. And now you see already the problem. If you would have to do this with the entire sleeve on it, that's a nightmare, if not even impossible. Okay, so that's
one nice hole,
quite big. And now I'm just gonna get the shortest way for the loop to go through it. You may wonder why my hands are so white. We are painting the mast.
oh, this is normal.
Okay. No, usually not. So it still looks a bit chunky, but actually you see now the fibers are aligned nicely. They're still a bit stretched out too long, but with tension on it, that will sort itself out. I'm gonna put the thimble back in place. Zack, fits. And that's actually the whole splicing already, that will hold the tension. This is like a lock. It's impossible that this will open, even if once there shouldn't be enough tension on it. And to make it even safer now, we make the whole burying extra long, extra safe once again. So to make the burying, I just look at the whole tail I made and make a mark roughly where I will have to come out again. So this would be exactly where I come out, and I'd rather go out a little bit afterwards, or towards the other end of the rope. That for sure, once I get it back in, it is all covered inside. Okay, I'm stretching this rope already and looking for a good place where I can go into the rope, and this will be not too tight to where the splicing actually happened, but just a little bit afterwards. Maybe one finger, maybe a normal finger, not my finger, or a good old thumb. And I think here I have a good spot.
How you make sure you don't hurt the
fibers?
Mm-hmm.
What I do is, if I'm not sure, sometimes I hear or I feel resistance, like now. So I'm not forcing it with. I'm using like 2 fingers, not the whole fist. And if I feel something, I sometimes also can hear the fibers, like that you picked up the smallest unit of fiber, and this you hear. It's like a little fire starting. And then you can also open it up and check and look inside, and you would see that you picked up one. And what helps is if you push from the other side to open the weave, and therefore you find a good path. Okay, so now it's time to put in this end. If you never use tape, now I would recommend you to use, because it's a longer than usual burring, and if you lose it midway, that would be just annoying. So that's taped. And with thumb and index finger, I'm always pushing the rope towards the needle and therefore opening the weaves. So that's my mark.
Do you want to come out again?
Exactly, and just because I'm double safe, I'm going to push it a little bit further. And now I'm looking for a good exit point. Okay, so here all the rope passed inside, and now we have this little fatty, and here the tapering is going to happen. And there is an expert for tapering on this boat, which is holding the camera right now.
Oh, it's me.
It's you. So now I have to be really careful what I'm saying. So remember, we have 1.30 meters of burying, and now we have to think about how long we are making the actual tail, and we have to think about a good number that you can divide by 11. So 33 would be nice, or maybe 44. Why by 11? We want to divide it by we want to have 12 different separations for each strand that we're taking out, and number 12 will be where I measure 0. I needed some help obviously from Elio for how long we're gonna make this, and we figured out 38.5 is the perfect number. So we're gonna make a mark each 3.5 centimeters. Now maths comes in. 3.5.
Beginning from the end of the rope.
7, 10.5, 14, 35, 38,
And the last one.
And now it is worth turning the rope a bit to make this mark all around, especially in the one in the ending where I'm holding here, because since we're taking strands out, you won't be able to find them anymore, or the marks will disappear because you just pulled this strand out. That's the 11th mark, and I'm just going to take out a random that was the first one. So this strand was running in this side. Now I'm looking for another one running in the exactly opposite side, and I'm also going to twist the rope a bit, just so I'm taking out the fiber at a different spot here. Alright, tapering is done. You see it gets thinner and thinner, and now the beautiful part of tapering is going to happen. We're going to take the thimble itself and pull it back in by pushing this rope over, and you see how the tail comes in, ideally all the way. Yes, and that will be buried. Now by far the most fun part will start, which is a bit sarcastic. So you see this entire rope, 14 point something meters, and there is this cover that would like to be on it. To get this cover onto this rope and since I already mentioned that this is actually a bit too thin, it's 12 millimeters, so it fits over the rope, but it won't fit over the splice. But it will fit partially over it, maybe till it's like 14 or something. But as long as this is not stretched, it's even thicker than it would be being stretched. So if you don't really have a reference, the only thing you can do is put it actually in your mast and stretch it in. And now we do have a reference value because we made already some other stays, and we know actually till how far it will go down. And this is important that we make this measurement of the sleeve really accurate, because we don't want too little and we certainly don't want too much, because will be super hard to get it out. So, but for the moment I don't have to cut it, but only put it on, and in some seconds I most likely will ask my cameraman to take part in this beautiful work, I would say. But so this footage will probably get really long, just to save my dear cameraman. So you see, my cameraman didn't jump off the boat, he's still on it. Was it fun?
It was okay.
So the whole cover is now on it. What we did, or what we now have to do, is to cut it off at the right spot. So therefore, we know from the other stays that from the thimble we can get it down as much as 80 centimeters. We stretched the already done stay, stretch it completely, try to get the cover as far down as possible, and we saw this is like 80, and we have this 80 centimeters. And now on the other hand, here I still have my needle inside. On the other hand, it will be much more than this 80, because we have the 130 that we're going to bury, then the space for the thimble, which is like all in all 145 plus this 80, and this we measured, which is 2 meters and 25 from the thimble to here. With this 225 here, we now know that we can cut where the needle is exactly now. Okay, so you see this stay is actually already tight, and with it being tight we can pull this sleeve much further down. But now it is important to know how far. So I'm going to just measure it out, and it's from the thimble to there, it's roughly 80 centimeters. And the rest here we're going to cover like here, just with rope whipping around. Okay, so the cover is cut, and I can pull it in entirely, and here it comes, our stay. Okay, so before we make the second splice, the thimble, we have to think very
Sharply.
What we actually still need to apply on it. For sure we want to make this sleeve cover for the thimble, and also I'm gonna put this beautiful little thing on it that's out of sail material. It was a sail, actually you sailed on it.
Oh,
It's the whole cardboard sail.
that's our say now.
It was. And this also will be put in, so I have to...
You sewed it yourself?
Yes. To be honest, I'm not sure how long it's gonna last. It's tough material, but maybe the conditions will be tougher.
And what's the purpose of it?
So you maybe wondered why it's shaped so weirdly. So the idea is that this lower part will cover the dead eyes that I made. This part will cover the lashings, and here will be the thimble of the stay. And therefore it will just cover everything that may rub here. So the sleeve cover is on. What I'm going to do is exactly the same I did for the other eye, a locking Bramble splice again, and here I don't have an option. I will have to do it with this inversion. So there's no way I'm going to pull all of this through. So yep, go back to step one, and
It's exactly the same procedure.
exactly the same procedure as it was before, and then we will have our stay already.
And does it matter then which side is on top and which side is
No,
on the...
absolutely no. Same.